We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joette, may we have the roll call?
Mr. Akra.
Here.
Mr. Graff.
Here.
Mayor Grubbs.
Here.
Ms. Knock.
Here.
Mr. McMurdo.
Here.
All right, we have the minutes from March 11th, 2005 that we need to have approved.
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Graff.
I'll abstain since I was absent.
Mayor Grubbs.
Yay.
Ms. Knock.
Yay.
Mr. McMurdo.
Yay.
Mr. Akra.
Yay.
All right, we have visitors present. All of them will be in our new business, so I'll move on to that. The first item on our new business is a replat approval for the Trailhead Section 1B, Lot 35. Joette, may we have the staff report?
Yes. The applicant is requesting approval to split Lot 35 in Section 1, Block B of the Trailhead development to be able to sell each individual unit of a two-unit dwelling. The new division line will be established within the common wall of the unit and has been field located to verify its location. Upon approval, the record plat will be recorded at the Hamilton County Recorder's Office per typical subdivision procedure, and deeds will be recorded to transfer the lots as sold. The application has been reviewed and approved by the Harrison Zoning Department and the City of Harrison engineer, and no conditions were recommended.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Knock.
Yay.
Mr. McMurdo.
Yay.
Mr. Akra.
Yay.
Mr. Graff.
Yay.
Mayor Grubbs.
Yay.
Motion passes. Our next order of new business is the conditional use permit approval for 9840 West Road for Grace Church.
The use of a church in an the reason for the request is the use of a church in an R1 residential zone is a conditional use as defined in the Harrison zoning regulations. All proposed conditional use permits are reviewed by Planning Commission for approval, approval with supplementary conditions, or disapproval per section 117904 of the Harrison zoning regulations. The intent of the application is the applicant is requesting a conditional use approval in an R1 residential zone to temporarily operate Sunday morning church services at the Harrison Junior School located at 9840 West Road. This will be a temporary use until Grace Church finds a permanent home. Grace Church would like to hold church services for approximately 100 parishioners in the Commons area at Harrison Junior School with setup and tear down before and after services. The church has outgrown their current space at 10548 Harrison Avenue in the Co-Motion Collaborative Co-working Auditorium. Southwest Local School District periodically rents space to nonprofit groups in Harrison, and Grace Church was previously located at the school facility on Campbell Road before occupying 10548 Harrison Avenue in 2021. The proposed use will have no adverse economic impact, noise effect, glare effect, or odor effect on the surrounding neighborhoods. There will be a sound system on Sunday mornings that will be contained within the school building. Ample parking space will be available by utilizing the already established junior school parking lot. Vehicle traffic will be limited to typical Sunday morning church attendance with staggered arrival and departure times to reduce impact. Temporary pop-up directional signage will be used to direct attendees to the appropriate entrances. Permits are not required for directional signage. The comprehensive plan goals and recommendations. Goal 2 is maintain a thriving community. Part of that goal is expand the city's community service offerings to enhance residents and guests' experiences, and the school is meeting this need for the community by offering their space. Number 2 is consider the demand for additional community facilities, programs, and organizations as the city grows, and the growth of the church in such a short time reiterates this goal for the city. In summary, the application has been reviewed by the Harrison Planning, Building, and Zoning staff, and the use is consistent with the school's intended purpose as a community space. The application meets the goals and recommendations outlined in the city's comprehensive plan and adheres to the general standards applicable to all conditional uses attached. The temporary use of the school for Sunday morning services aligns with the existing function of the facility as a place of gathering and community engagement. The use is also compatible with the neighborhood as it does not introduce new structures, permanent modifications, or disruptive activities. Given that schools and churches both serve as community centers, this temporary use is in harmony with the surrounding residential area.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Akra?
Yay.
Mr. Graff?
Yay.
Mayor Grobs?
Yay.
Ms. Knock?
Yay.
Mr. McMurdo?
Yay.
Motion approved. Congratulations.
And finally, on our new business, we have a vote for a recommendation to City Council for an M1 overlay zoning amendment for the quarry property on Madden Way.
The purpose of this application is a zoning map amendment. All proposed zoning map amendments are reviewed by Planning Commission with a recommendation to City Council for approval. A public hearing on this matter was held on April 3rd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. at the Harrison Community Center. The proposed overlay district is a mining quarry in the reclamation stage within the M1 Industrial District. Originally zoned as E excavating, this area was changed to M1 Industrial to allow for the development of future industrial uses. The mining site was eventually purchased by several developers with the vision of finishing the reclamation of the property and creating industrial sites for future use. The proposed mineral extraction reclamation overlay district would support reclamation of the quarry through excavation, storage, and processing activities and continue to promote the development of the quarry site for future development. These efforts will support the reclaiming of the quarry by restoring, filling, and converting current unbuildable land into viable lots that will afford opportunities for employment and long-term economic growth. The reclamation of mines through infill practices is common and regulated by ODNR. The proposed mineral extraction reclamation overlay district would provide a framework for provisions set forth by Hamilton County Health Department, Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, and the city zoning code to ensure the proper reclamation practices are followed. These regulations are an integral part of a reclamation project and acknowledge earth-moving activities where it is necessary to prepare a site for structures, landscaping, or other land improvements, including the related excavation, grading, compaction, road cuts, and embankments. When the mining pit was rezoned from E excavating to M1 industrial, there was no way to predict how the mining pit would be reclaimed for use. The Mineral Extraction Reclamation Overlay District will emphasize reclamation of the area and include the measures needed to adequately prepare the site for future uses. This reclamation will take place following the land use plan and will comply with all other reclamation requirements of the state. The intent is to provide an atmosphere free of conflict with other surroundings and conducive to advanced technological and light industrial uses while minimizing the impact on the community. The zoning amendment has been reviewed and researched by the Harrison Building and Zoning Department, and the department would recommend the changes as described in this report.
Motion to approve.
Can we have some discussion about this first?
Sure.
I'm concerned about this being M1, not so much because of what the M1s will be, but because of the city's reaction to problems that come up with M1. On the 11th, it will be my anniversary. It'll be our 38th year. We bought our house in 1986. Roughly 30 years ago, we had a M1 behind us file for an application that came through here. And I view this body as to help protect our citizens. People brought information in, it was approved, and they altered the plats and drawings when it was submitted to Hamilton County. our city was advised of this. Mayor Rothfuss was presiding then. They changed the plans. Their plans no longer matched ours. And we notified the city, and the city did nothing. Through 5 generations of mayors, 5 administrations of mayors, they did nothing. One of the thing they added was a 1.5-story baler vacuum collector on top of their roof. I don't know what day it was, but I know exactly what time they turned it on. It was at 6 o'clock. Because at 6 o'clock, every neighbor I could see everywhere walked out of their house to see what the noise was. And we found it was this vacuum up there. It was so loud, it was ridiculous. We went to the city. They did sound studies and said it was kicking out 95 decibels, not on our property line, but next to our house, which is the exact amount of decibels that the Who concert plays at. And administration after administration after administration did nothing about that. This is to the west of our house. They added an addition on after that, while the noise came, actually, the thing actually caught fire. It was burnt down, and they let them rebuild it, claiming they were grandfathered, even though this thing had never passed this body. They put on an addition, and they created a road to the rear of our property that semi-trucks use now. And when they run, it sounds like they're about to drive through your house. I've talked to 3 different administrations of mayors through this and councils and through this time, and nothing's ever been done about it. I've talked to our current building department about this, and I've heard nothing. When they put on this additional addition, created this additional road, they created a swale that now water gathers to the point where you can't go out in our yard at night because of mosquitoes. There's standing water there usually. I've submitted pictures to the last administration. I've submitted pictures to current building department, and nothing's ever been done about that. That's to the west of us. That's M1. To the south of us, there's a house, actually my father built. It's always been a residence. Somehow it ended up M1. And for 30 years, the residents of that house has paid no attention to any zoning. It's just been a mess. They've got empty vans up on blocks that they use for storage facilities. There's been little, I don't think anyone's really known what to do with this, but they're M1. They've done nothing. It took 30 years to get this M1 zoning to a residential. That just happened this year. To the north of our buildings, another M1. I've been surrounded, which I don't even think you're supposed to do when you create zoning. And that's the city's building. The year we bought it, 1986, the city painted this building. It hadn't been painted since. In 2008, Hurricane Ike came through and blew siding off part of this building. It's never been replaced. I have pictures of this at times where the weeds are growing above the gutters, so they're 9 feet in the air. Currently, there's honeysuckle growing, they're 7 feet tall, and it's never been replaced. Now, none of this has anything to do with the business will come in. It all has something to do with the trust, and I saw the people, they were scared the other night in our public hearing. These people are frightened about what's coming in because they don't know what's going to be up against their houses. And it's not one, it's both sides of West Road, Corner Brook, they don't know what's coming. And we've had other incidents where people have resorted to crazy acts of public display because previous administrations have not addressed their concern and the city has not protected the residents. And we have a poor history as a city of standing up for residents when it comes to making sure their lives aren't ruined by businesses. We just do. I've gone through 38 years of it. Probably I'm the one who's dealt with it the most, but we're just bad at it. So we're about to put an M1 zone over this huge piece of land that's going to be a big plus for our city financially once it starts. But it does concern me when I see the people on both sides of West Road come in here concerned and scared about what's about to be dumped in their lap. And in my head, I'm thinking, if something screwy happens, the city's not going to stand up and protect them because we haven't. I wonder if M1 is the best thing for this at this point.
Well, it's already M1. We're not changing the zoning. It's already zoned M1 from prior to me sitting on council.
So what is the point?
M1 is staying M1.
What is the
The
point of this then?
overlay, all we're doing is putting an overlay on top of the M1 so the reclamation of the site can continue.
I have
We're
some
not
real,
changing the M1.
I have some real concerns about this piece of property. And mostly it's with how the city reacts to this. And I know you've been cleaning up a lot of the things that have been from previous administrations. And it's a concern. If you're safe and you're surrounded by residential, maybe this wouldn't make sense to you. But as someone who's surrounded by M1 and has borne the brunt of lack of action, it's a concern. And I hate to push this on some other part because this is a big one.
Yes.
So I don't know how this is all going to affect any of that. It might not affect the M1, the overlay might not, but it is a concern. And I think before we get too far down the road, as a planning commission, we ought to address that.
Well, I think that's where, when we go into our zoning review, because obviously we're revisiting the master comprehensive plan at this time, and then we're gonna flow immediately into our zoning review. And that's where we address some of the concerns. We'll be able to take into account some of the different stuff, make some areas maybe somewhat more strict, where on other areas, that may not be the case. We hold status quo. You know, I've listened, while I'm not on social media, I'm not gonna get caught up in social media. I do hear the concerns. I don't know where I'll be in 10 years when this starts to really develop. But the goal is to make it the best development possible, to bring jobs to our community, to try to retain the kids that are constantly leaving to go other places, retain them and keep them here. With that comes an income flow that helps support and potentially alleviate pressure on the residential taxpayers at this time. The only way to alleviate pressure on our tax base right now, because that's the biggest complaint, is taxes. We might be one of the lowest taxing municipalities in the state of Ohio, but that doesn't matter. They still feel the pressure, and rightfully so. I can't stand taxes, but if I'm gonna pay them somewhere, I want them to be in Harrison. I want them to go to the activities and everything taking place here in Harrison. But the only way to alleviate that is either add houses, which is very clear a lot of people don't want. That's why we also have a moratorium in place. The next best thing is to bring commercial development.
I'm in
Find
favor
good
of the
quality-
commercial development.
I'm sorry?
I'm in favor of the commercial development. My
Yeah.
problem isn't with the commercial development. My problem is we have no mechanism established to offer protection to the citizens who are residents next to the commercial development.
Well, we actually do. We have zoning in place right now to take into account lighting and mounding, and that's why we try to put a PUD on every piece of property. So we do have those controls in place. That way I'm sorry, hold on one second.
Then why aren't you using them right now?
Sir, I need you to sit
Unacceptable.
down. Thank you. We have those things in place to make sure that the neighbors are protected. When the development took place over on Simonson, or
Nobody does it.
on,
I've been living with us 7 years.
You're not helping, Brad.
Yeah, and I'll have to ask you to leave if you will, if you continue. So I just need you to hold it.
All I ask is that you say the truth.
Sir, I'm gonna ask you to sit down.
They've told you it's gonna be 50 years before they're done, you keep saying 10.
Sir, I'm gonna ask you to sit down.
I'm gonna leave because I
Very
can't take
good.
the lies.
Very good. Thank you,
Don't
sir.
protect the community, you don't protect the residents, and you're
Have
saying
a
you're
good
telling
evening,
me
Mr.
you
Mason.
will.
Take care now.
If that's the truth, then protect me. I'm a resident. And this whole overlay thing
Sir?
is nothing. It's heavy industrial. Why don't you say it like it is?
Have a good evening, sir. We have measures in place when development plans come in that they are reviewed for directional lighting, pavement, everything, water runoff. While obviously there are still concerns, those are things that we revisit when we visit our zoning.
By the way, my concerns had nothing to do with this property.
You're fine. It's okay.
Mine are just in the thing in general that I've experienced.
And I do understand his
And it's-
frustrations.
I'm talking
So,
about 38 years worth of experience.
Yes.
And you know what my problems have been. I've talked to you numerous times.
Well, I hadn't heard the water retention, but we'll talk about that afterwards. So,
Anyway, I just wanted to bring some of that up because I know when we bring residents in, we don't zone them right away. We put an R0 on them before
yes.
they actually come in. I wonder if an M0 would actually be a better situation for this, to still be business, but in some kind of limbo until the project's done.
Well, I think the way it probably should have originally played out is that we didn't change it from the
From excavating.
excavation to the M1. We should have kept it excavation, and then it would have met all state of Ohio guidelines for the reclamation process. But hindsight's 20/20. At this point, we need to just try to get it to a point where we can proceed with the filling, and then we can revisit the zoning as we go forward. In regards to Mr. Nose's frustrations, that's another thing. If there need to be some more stringent guidelines, then that's something that we need to revisit during the zoning review also.
I can tell you my neighbors and I have been as mad as he is right now.
I'm sorry?
My neighbors and I have been as mad as he is right now by things that have gone on in my neighborhood. When you got 95 decibels blaring and you're trying to sleep.
Well, 95 decibels now is outside of our guideline.
It was outside
for
then
any
too.
area.
But no one would do anything about it.
Yeah,
It's not so much the rules, it's if you refuse to implement the rules, it doesn't help.
well, believe me,
And I know it's not the way things have gone, because I know you fixed some of the things, but it's something as we need to protect citizens
I agree.
better here in Harrison.
I agree. I've sent the police out to measure decibel readings all over this city because of different complaints. And that's just in the past year and 3 months. So, it is to try and continue to protect our residents, but try to move in a direction that's good for the overall community and balance that all at the same time. So,
I share some concerns about the overlay. And I asked a question at the hearing, which is why the need for this if the reclamation is already permitted under various existing agreements. I don't know that it was necessarily answered very well. But my concern is, okay, if you've got a user there that has the right to do the reclamation activities under an existing agreement, regime, whatever, are we then enabling by giving them more rights here? Because I don't see any restrictions.
well, I don't think we're giving them any more rights than what are allowed through ODNR, from my understanding. We're not giving them more rights, we're giving them the rights that were allowed under ODNR, excavation, Sorry, I just
What are you
blanked on the
trying to
word. Reclamation. There we go.
Like, where are you going with that?
Reclamation. So, it's to allow it to continue. You know, with the M1,
Well, but again, why do we have to allow it to continue if they've got the right to continue already?
because the Hamilton County Court System has said that because we put an M1 overlay on it, that it falls outside the guidelines, and it no longer let me state a disclaimer here. I'm not a zoning person, I'm not an attorney, I'm just a guy trying to do stuff here. But, because Hamilton County Justice System has decided to rule on the M1 and that that this activity does not fall into our current M1 zoning, and that the reclamation doesn't supersede the M1, we now need to take a countermeasure so we can continue the fill process.
Okay, so in other words, if we don't put an overlay on, they can't continue to fill
Correct.
the hole,
Correct.
which would be in violation of reclamation agreements.
Correct.
And then I have a question. If we had not changed it from excavation zoning to M1, we wouldn't be here right now, correct?
Correct. Well,
Well, maybe, yeah.
with my disclaimers. And
Yes, yes. And is there any way to take it back to that zoning?
Ooh, do we want to do that? This-
I can't answer that question.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
We have not explored that option, so I can't get into that. I'm sorry, if you'd like to speak, does anybody oppose? Because we didn't have
No.
any public speakers. Mr. Nose, or Mr. House, would you like to come to the podium?
I think the reason, I'm Dave House, I'm an owner in the property, but the reason that we have to go with the overlay, to your point, is we were in a mining permit transfer when we purchased the land. So we have an ODNR permit to reclaim the pit. We bond it, we guarantee the state that we're going to put it back to a cornfield, basically, right? That grade. So in order to continue and fulfill the state of Ohio requirement under the ODNR 170 permit, we need to be able to bring it up to grade. Because the M1, to your point, Mayor, because the M1 came after the ODNR permit, the M1 is in contention, in litigation, for reclaiming in an M1. So the attorneys, and the city attorney as well, so they all concluded that the proper fix is to do the overlay, keep the M1, which has been in place for however many years that is, you would know better than me, and then it gives a use, a blanket use, an overlay use that already existed before the M1. So it corrects the mistake of putting in place an M1 over top of a mining permit. So that's the purpose. And and I think it's taken 1.5 years to figure out that that is legally the way to accomplish it. If that answers your question of,
That's a better answer than I've heard, yes.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So that's as I know it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion for recommendation to city council. Do we have a second? Right. Recommendation for approval to city council.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Second? Okay. Mr. Akra?
Yay.
Mr. Graff,
Okay.
Mayor Grubbs,
Yay.
Ms. Knock,
Yay.
Mr. McMurdo.
Yeah.
Motion approved.
And I'm sorry to brought all that up, but I just want to make sure that down the road, when this starts to be, it's full and it's starting to be businesses, that we offer our residents some
That-
protection.
That's why I've pushed so hard on this zoning, getting into the zoning part of it. The comprehensive plan is invaluable for our path forward. But our zoning right now has so many holes in it that we need to get it corrected and cleaned up. And that is to protect the residents. The whole zoning thing, while it can be a hassle in so many different ways, it is designed to protect the residents and the community as a whole. So we have to do our part in cleaning up the different areas that are concerned areas.
And I'd like to state for the record and remind everyone that we do have an online questionnaire for our comprehensive plan that is coming up. If you have not seen it, it's on the city website, correct?
From my
believe so.
understanding, it's all over social media.
And it's all,
now
I've
and
seen it
the
on social
website.
media as well, yeah. But please go to the city and fill out that questionnaire so that our committee that is tackling the 10-year renewal of this comprehensive plan can actually, get our community feedback, okay? Thank you all. We don't have any old business. May I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
No, second.
Mr. Graff,
Yay.
Mayor Grubbs,
Yay.
Ms. Knock,
Yay.
Mr. McMurdo,
Yeah.
Mr. Akra.
Yay.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.